want to share some tips on how to color fill your lower receiver so your project will go very smoothly with a minimal amount of trouble. First off, the best way to color fill your lower receiver that's going to last is going to be enamel. Now, I've done videos where I've used Tester's enamel paint, and that works. The problem is with Tester's enamel paint and non-acetone nail polish remover, it can take you quite a while to get that paint off. So I'm going to recommend that you steer clear of Tester's enamel paint. So what are we going to use? Well, we're going to use nail polish. And these are just some colors that I have available here, and they're all different companies. So the first tip, white, stay away from anything metallic. The white I used on this lower receiver here is this Wet n Wild. White you can normally get away with one coat on your lower receiver. So you don't have to be extremely picky with your white. I will say this though, not all nail polish is created the same. You've got some that takes multiple coats because it's very watered down or thinned down, and there's others that are very thick. So when you're picking up some nail polish, whether you're getting it from your wife or your girlfriend, or if you're going to go out and buy some, unscrew the cap on it and take it out. I mean, if you look at the little brush and the shaft of the brush, and the paint's thick and it's kind of clinging to the shaft and the brush, then you've got yourself a pretty thick paint, and I'd go with that. If you get something like this, you can see all the paint more or less running off the brush. This is a really thinned down nail polish. Now the thinned down stuff isn't necessarily bad, it just means you're probably going to have to put a couple of coats on. So now as for, that's white, this is blue, I haven't used that yet. Let's talk about the red. Red is very interesting. You can grab one color like this one, you'd think, wow, this will look great on the lower receiver. Well, you're putting red on a black lower receiver. So the red is going to be darker than what you see in the bottle. Okay, so although this looks like a perfect blood red, perfect for doing roll marks, it ends up being too dark. So when you're choosing a red, this lower receiver was actually done with this Revlon. This is a Revlon Provocative 725. It's an orangish red. You're going to want a really bright red or an orangish type of red to make it stand out on your lower receiver like so. So that's the color I used on this lower receiver. So I used this Revlon, and I used this Wet n Wild white right here to do this lower receiver. Now, using your non-acetone nail polish remover, you want to be very careful about what you use to remove the paint. Do not use cheap material. I like to use cut up paper towels, and these are Bounties. Use high quality paper towels, cut them up, get them wet with acetone, and lightly wipe. The non-acetone nail polish remover will cut through this nail polish very quickly, so your job will go very smoothly. And if you screw it up, you can easily just do it again. So use a high quality paper towel cut down into small squares. Some people have used coffee filters. Because the one thing you want to be careful about is leaving lint behind. that's why you don't want to use something cheap that's going to leave lint behind. The lint will get stuck in the paint and it'll look terrible. That's same with the Q-tips. These happen to be actual Q-tip brand. Do not get cheap, well, I'm using the term Q-tip as a generic term, but this is a brand. Do not get cheap items like this. Even the Q-tips, which are 100% cotton, will leave little strands of cotton behind. I don't use these. I got to be real specific. I don't use these for rubbing off paint. I use these for cleaning up around the painted areas. You know, and over here, if you get some excess paint in some roll marks you don't want to color fill, use your Q-tips for that. Keep the Q-tips away from the paint. You'll get those little cotton threads stuck in the paint, and it's a real pain to get it out. So do not use the Q-tips for removing paint from your actual painted roll marks. Use it for cleanup around that area. Also, on most Q-tips, you have one end that has very little cotton on it and one that's big and fluffy. Do not use this. Look at this. Do not use the big fluffy end. It's too easy for this to happen. Get like this. Do not use that. Use the small end, and you're going to dab this in your non-acetone nail polish remover, and you're going to do cleanup. And once you start to get some paint on the Q-tip or some paint on your paper towel, throw it away and get another and drench it and start over again. The one thing you have to be real careful of, if you get this soaked in paint and you continue wiping this, you're just going to wipe paint all over the place. So I'll get this soaked in the nail polish remover, and I'll do a few wipes, and when I start to see paint here, I throw it away and get another, and I repeat it, and I just keep going, because you don't want to smear your paint all over the place. And it's real important, especially over in these areas where you've got roll marks so close to each other. If your paper towel or your Q-tip has got paint all over it, you're just going to smear paint into these other roll marks. So Q-tips and paper towels are relatively cheap. Cut up your paper towels in small little sections. Do a lot of prep work before you start going. Spend a little bit of money on quality paper towels or coffee filters or the good Q-tip brand, and follow those guidelines. And you should be able to color fill your roll marks 30 minutes. You know, this particular one took about 45 because I've had 4 different areas, and with the red I had to do 2 coats, and that's with a 10-minute drying time between each coat. So I put 1 coat of red on, let it dry for 10 minutes. I would break out the nail polish remover and clean the area, and then use my Q-tip to clean up all around it, and then I put another coat of paint on it, let it dry for 10 minutes, and then take it off. With the red, or at least this particular Revlon orangish red, 2 coats works out great. With the white, you only really need 1 coat. So hopefully this clears up a lot of the issues that some people have been having, and helps with the frustration level as well. This testers is it's very frustrating to remove testers paint using a non-acetone nail polish remover. It can be done, it will work, it's just going to take you a very long time to do it. So steer clear from the testers if you don't have a lot of patience and you want this project to be less than an hour, and go with the nail polish. So that's going to wrap up this tips and tricks video for color filling the roll marks on your lower receiver.